Welcome to the Tony the Prophet channel for the divisional round of the playoffs. Thanks for sticking with me through the year. Um, Not a great week last week, but we move on. But I don't feel too badly comparing myself to other experts. Colin Cowherd, uh, national TV and radio show, picked 4 games for the weekend. He went 1-3 against the spread. I also compare myself to the Game Day View on NFL Network with the 3 experts pick. They were 3-3, also straight up, but they were 1-5, 1-5, and 2-4 against the spread. So doing 3-3 isn't too badly against these experts. But quickly, let's go through the games and then we'll move on to the new week. Rams, I had said that their weakness is the secondary, but I didn't think that Carolina played very poorly the week before against Tampa Bay would be able to do much against the Rams. But they were at home, and they're a good cover team at home, and you saw that. So Rams pulled it out, but it was close, too close for comfort. I was on Chicago and won that. Buffalo, Jacksonville, you got the Allen Superman game where he just pulled it out above everything. Just inexplicable for Jacksonville. They should have kicked that field goal early in the game. They would have been tied. But 8-0 against 8-0 straight up, 8-0 against the spread going into that game, 7-2 at home. All the data said Jacksonville point differential in the 8-0 run, 31-14. Just dominant, and they laid an egg. So that's what happens. Next game, Frisco against Philly. Philly, Petrillo, the defensive coordinator, he deserved to be fired. Horrible game plan. And then in the end, when they had to drive 11 personnel four times in a row, no changes, no nothing, and they couldn't get a first down. The game was over. It was right on New England. They won comfortably, even though it was close for a while, and it's right on Houston. 2 defensive touchdowns. Of all the 16 offense and defensive squads left, the Houston defense is probably number one. They only gave up 23 yards to Pittsburgh in the second half, and we'll talk about that in these games as for this week. So if we move forward here, I thought this game was the toughest to pick, but with more analysis, I like Denver -1.5. The Buffalo, Josh Allen pulled that game out as Superman. He's going to have to do the same thing again this week, but I just think they have too many injuries, and Denver's at home, rested off a bye. Look at the records. Buffalo 13-5, 9-9 against the spread, 5-4 against the spread away. Denver not as good a cover team, 14-3, 7-10 against the spread, 5-4 against the spread at home. The whole key to this game is, can Cook with the number 2 rush game run against Denver with the number 2 rush defense, and that's the whole key to the game. And on the Denver side, can Denver run against this porous Swiss cheese run Harvey against this Swiss cheese Buffalo run defense? And they were 32nd. I believe they're up to 28th, but they're still bad. They give up over 150 yards a game. And Buffalo undermanned. Poyer out. Maxwell Hairston is out. He's the corner. And then Shavers is out. They have 3 healthy wide receivers. You see Cooks come back from the dead a little. I thought he was done. But and then Shakir is it. He had like 12 catches last week. They're going to use him again. The key to the game is Kincaid. He had a big game against them last year in the playoffs, and he had a 56% route share last week. And if he's to do well, if Buffalo's to do well, he needs to have a big game. Been fighting the head cold all week. Sorry. I think Allen will have to throw to the running backs and the tight ends. But, Denver defense is very good. They were at home. They had a week off to rest. They number one yards per play, given up by the defense, 4.46 yards per play. Um, Josh Allen's beat up, knee, hand, foot. Has to be Superman again. Uh, and the less than he was less than 7 yards a pass. Now, conversely, last week against Jacksonville, but conversely, thing that worries me is Knicks. It's not good against man, and if he has a bad game, Buffalo definitely can win. But I think he can do enough. They played him last year, and Buffalo kind of destroyed him. But they're a year. He's a year older in the league, and you have Peyton, who's had a week off, to come up with a game plan against Buffalo. And like I said, if Buffalo can't run, Allen's going to get sacked, and he could get hurt or maybe knocked out of the game, although he seems to be indestructible. But I have it. I have this game like Denver 20-16, low scoring game. I like the under better than any side, 40.5. It definitely goes under 40.5. So that would be the preferred bet. But I'll take under Denver. Not saying that Buffalo can't pull it out, but Josh Allen, Superman effort that he seems to do every week. But I'll stay with Denver. Next game, Seattle -7. This game worries me a little, but I think San Francisco, the final analysis, San Francisco is just too beat up. No Kittle is huge. He's a big part of the blocking game. He's the best blocking tight end in the NFL. Just look at the numbers quickly. They're both two good teams. San Francisco 13-5 straight up, 12-6 against the spread. The real key, and this worries me, they're 8-2 against the spread on the road, 4-4 at home. Seattle 14-3 straight up, 12-5 against the spread, but they're only 4-4 at home. They're 8-1 on the road. So you have two good road teams against the spread, and maybe in San Francisco's favor. But they played in Week 18, and Seattle pretty much destroyed them, and that was at San Francisco. Seattle was never in trouble losing that game. San Francisco only ran 42 offensive plays. They were physically handled. San Francisco has to take more chances to beat Seattle, and Walker and Charbonnet ran for 180 yards. Seattle only had another 181 pass yards, so it was 50-50. But if you look at what they do on zone runs, they killed San Francisco. Walker had 5.5 yards a carry on zone runs, and Charbonnet had 5.2 yards a carry on those same runs. So it lines up very well. They're missing Kittle. I think Pearsall, they need Pearsall to stretch the field to have a chance. And the Jennings, and have Woolen on Jennings, so he may have a tough go. But Purdy will throw a pick. The Seattle defense is good. Now, on the other hand, Donald has an oblique injury which came up this week. Could be a problem. But if that's the case, Seattle will have to run the ball. And they have JSN over the top. Frisco will play two high safeties to keep him in check. His prop is like 90-something yards, so they think that he's going to do okay. But, the thing that surprised me on DraftKings, 72% of the bets are on Frisco, which is a little bit surprising. I'll take Seattle at home. I could be making a mistake. They handle them very easily. There was no point in that game that you were worried that Frisco was going to win. They didn't even score a touchdown. It was 13-3. I have this week, Seattle 23-13. And again, they're playing great as a dog. Shanahan's a great coach, but I just think with that defense being that bad, and Purdy turns it over a few times with the pick. The Seattle defense good at home. can get a defensive touchdown, I'll go there. Now, next game is New England. New England 3. I bet this 3.5. I like Houston at 3.5, but Houston has a little bit of a rest disadvantage. They played on Monday night. Patriots played on Sunday night. Houston is number 1 D. They only give up 17 points a game. 5th versus the pass. 4th versus the run. Patriots 5th scoring offense, 28 points a game. 4th in passing, 5th in rushing. So you got pretty much a standoff here. And the key to the game comes down to Stroud is not as good as May as a quarterback. And the crazy thing is that he hadn't fumbled all year, and he fumbled 3 times in that game. But it's a testament to how good this Houston defense is, that they had 3 turnovers, and they only give up 6 points. They only give up 23 yards to Pittsburgh in the second half of the game. So they got a lot going on. I think Gonzalez is hurt, but he'll play. He will go against Higgins. I think this opens it up for Kirk, who had a tremendous game against Pittsburgh. If you look at the playoff history with Kirk, he's had a touchdown in the last 3 playoff games and 6 catches or more. So I think he's in play. With Collins out, that hurts a lot. But with Kirk, I think they can hang in there. But Patriots should be able to run with Henderson and Stevenson. The key to their game is that they have to get yards on 1st and 2nd down. They cannot let Houston wind up with that pass rush. May will be in trouble. I think it's a good Hunter Henry game, and I think Douglas with the other corners on the Butte and the other key receivers. I think Douglas should have. He's going to get the nickel corner, so he should have a better matchup. I think his prop's under 20 yards. He could get that on 1 catch, but I think it's Hunter Henry does well. But this is a low-scoring game. I like the under here. Wait a minute, I'm having a problem here. Okay, get rid of that. I like the under here. I think New England's the better team. They are at home. They're well-balanced. They have a good coach. But I have them winning like 16-14, 19-17. But if Houston can get the turnovers and keep the heat on, I sprinkle a little bit of money on the money line on FanDuel. They're plus 152 is the best odds there. New England should win. They're at home, but I wouldn't be surprised. I liked with the hook. It was Fanatics, I believe, or FanDuel had the hook this morning. You can get the 3.5. I think that they're alive with the 3.5. But in the last game, we got the Rams minus 3.5. Weather's another problem. The wind chill temperature at the game time is going to be about 18 degrees. You're going to have winds from 12 miles an hour gusting up to 25 miles an hour. It could be a disadvantage for the Rams with Stafford with the number 1 pass game. And but both teams can run the ball. They have 2 good backs each. Rams, like I said, is number 1 scoring offense at 31 points a game. Their pass game is number 1 at 270 yards a game. Stafford's the MVP. Chicago 21st versus the pass, and they give up 233 yards a game. So there's the key matchup. I think Puka has a tougher matchup. I think Adams can get over. I think his prop's like 52.5, 55.5 yards. I think he can get a touchdown and go over that. I think Puka is still around 100. I don't think he gets to 100. Chicago will be running 2 high safeties to keep this pass game under. The Rams utilize the 3 tight ends, so they could beat you with them. Chicago has a number 3 running game, so it's going to be, can Chicago run against the Rams and set up some plays for these miracle throws? I think Loveland's in play. Adunze has to do something for Chicago to win. I think he has a decent matchup. But his prop's only like 35 yards. He should be able to get that. But it's kind of been Loveland and they've been using Burden lately. Um, Two good cover teams. Like I said, Rams 13-5 against the spread, 12-6. 13-5 straight up, 12-6 against the spread, 6-4 away. Chicago 11-7 against the spread, 6-3 at home. They're 11-5 against the spread the last 16. So these teams cover. I just think Chicago can't rely on these fourth quarter miracles. They've had like 1.1 to like 3% chance to win a lot of these games with 5 minutes left. You can't keep going to the well like that, but they could win. They could pull it out because if Caleb has a good game late against that pass defense, which is the Achilles heel for the Rams, and then the other wild card to this whole thing is that the Rams special teams are atrocious, and they could beat them there with a long return, a blocked punt, anything. But I got to think McVay, after being humbled last week, they go back to the drawing board. They're the better team, whether not in their favor. They're a California team, but you got to remember Stafford played for Detroit. He played at Chicago and Green Bay for 13, 14 years, how long he was in Detroit. And I think in the final analysis, the Rams are the better team. They should be able to pull it out. They could lose, but you only got to cover 3.5. I see this morning being juiced up to like 120. So by game time Sunday night, you may get a 3, which would be advantageous. I would jump on that. But I have a Rams, not crazy blowout, but like 28-23, 27-20. If it's a higher scoring game, it could be 31-27. But the weather could keep the scoring down. If it was in LA, this thing would be a track meet. It'd be like 35-31 for the Rams, 38-34, something like that. But I'll go with the Rams. I could be wrong. But we'll be back for championship week. That's it. Good luck, and we'll see you next time.